more that you can lean into your own personal discomfort, say what needs to be said in a non-offensive way, the more you make the world a better place.
All right, social platforms, welcome. Welcome to our live every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Our good friend Brenda at BE Branding or B Branding um, creates a topic for me to talk about in relationship to work she's constantly doing, looking at trends and activity online and in our algorithms. And what a winner today when friendship feels unbalanced. This idea that in a interpersonal friendship, we can have an experience where we are, let's say, investing more time and effort to make the relationship functional than the other person. Or, uh, it's worth mentioning this can happen in romantic relationships. It can be particularly acute in romantic relationships as well, but it happens a good deal in friendships. And I was thinking about this most of the afternoon. As I age, and I don't know if there's a video where I don't say that now. Maybe somewhere I'm reconciling to the fact that um, uh, I'm I'm seeing my aging in all areas of my consciousness and life. Um, as a backdrop. That could be. So maybe I'm tipping my hand in the Freudian sense. But anyway, as I age, I would say that I have less and less unbalanced friendships unless I know what I'm doing. Um, it might be in the service that I've chosen to undertake for another human being where they need some support right now. And that might be for an extended period of time. Or it might be um, because of an illness or injury that has befallen someone where there's clearly going to be uh, a lack of, immediate reciprocity. But I think we're talking about the more subtle kinds of things that occur in a friendship when things feel unbalanced. What might those be? The other person always choosing, let's say, where we're going to be or what we're going to do, or the other person setting the discourse on most of the conversations, or the other person um, talking about themselves but really not showing interest in you. Um, I think there are a couple of pillars of situations in the situations that this title, when friendship feels unbalanced, rest upon. Uh, One, I think, and again, this is anecdotal and my opinion just based on my professional and personal experiences, but I think many people are afraid of loss. Now, Tony Blauer would refer to this exclusively as a fear issue, and he's probably right, but we're talking about a contextualized matter. We're in an interpersonal friendship, and there is an unequal distribution of something that's causing me to feel unbalanced in the relationship. And I might not address it because I'm afraid of loss. I'm afraid the relationship is going to be put on the chopping block. And therefore, I must endure this in order to preserve the relationship, even if the other person doesn't see things that way. Uh, it was a great thinker who said, the only person responsible for you not essentially speaking what you need to say to someone is you. It's no one else's fault if I don't assert something that's important to me, my thoughts, my feelings to another human being. I am to blame, not the other person's behavior or conduct. Uh, and there are degrees of intensity of that. I've certainly been in situations where that decision included up to and including the potential for violence. Uh, of course, it's completely reasonable to feel afraid of violence, but it's also not unusual for people, particularly men, to uh, go there in the extreme. And you know what? I better not upset the apple cart here because I don't want to have some kind of experience of being humiliated or belittled emotionally or physically because I'm going to become vulnerable. And what would it be? What would be vulnerable? It would be to say, hey, I'd like to, share something with you. I'm feeling like everything we do or everything we talk about is something that you're driving, and uh, this has been going on for a while, and it's hard to be around sometimes. And you might say in response to hearing that, Andy, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so non-offensive, but and it wasn't. But there's even more non-offensive ways to say that. And why would I want to be non-offensive? I really want the message to be heard. I really want the other person to consider what it is that I'm offering. They may not even be aware. They may be so habituated in how they engage the world that their habit is interfering with relationship. What's their habit? Their habit to be completely self-centered. That could be. So, what are some things we can do to reset the playing field, reset the board so that we can engage in a relationship where there is some degree of equity or equality in the levels of investment? Um, let's say the relationship is not one where I'm being of service to another human being, but rather, just my bro that I like to hang out with. If there is a preoccupation with the other person talking about specific things and constantly setting the discourse, uh, I might wait until the next time we talk and right at the beginning say, hey, I want to share something with you. The last few times we talked, there were some things that I wanted to share with you, and I felt like I wasn't able to because um, what you were laying down seemed very important. But after a while, I'm starting to observe that what's on your mind is something that you want to share. It would be great if you could make some space so that I can make some contributions and share and get your feedback as well. It would really be important to me. Um, that's a pretty non-offensive way of managing, um, let's say, the need to bring to someone's attention that there is a developing pattern that needs to change. What might be an OFNR, observation, feeling, need, request, from nonviolent communication along these lines? When the friendship is unbalanced, the context, it really doesn't even matter. Hey, I'm observing that in a number of our interactions lately, they seem to be really exclusively focused on the things that are troubling you, and I'm glad that I can be of service. Um, when it's always about the stuff that's going on in your life, I feel um, unimportant and dismissed because I feel like I'm satisfying a job rather than, let's say, um, being in a friendship with you where how I feel it matters to you. I need to know that I matter in this relationship. Would you be willing to hold space for things that are important to me that I'd like to talk about when we schedule these times together? That way, both of us can walk away from this situation feeling really good about it. That's one way an OFNR might sound. You don't have to completely agree with it, but that is a way. Um, being honest is particularly important, but also not burdening the other person with that their behavior is responsible for how you feel. I think I can report how I feel without saddling someone with the idea that they're responsible for it. Um, I might even want to go deep with that and say, let me share with you why it's such a trigger for me that I only listen in our conversations and I never speak when I want to speak. Uh, in my house growing up, this was a common occurrence. And it led to a very unpleasant situation between my family members and me when I finally spoke up one day and said, Jesus, nobody ever asks me how I feel. Nobody ever asks me what I think. And they were all insulted with that because they had a different opinion. And my history with this kind of problem is significant. So I'm trying not to revisit that. And I'm aware of the fact that I'm feeling these feelings and having these thoughts as you and I are 3, 4 meetings into just listening to you talk. So I'm sharing with you that this is a sensitive issue for me. This idea of sharing with other people what I feel and what I need. This is the bailiwick of Marshall Rosenberg's gift to the world in nonviolent communication. And I'd also say that it's not something that people like talking about in a genuine way. Now, on the other hand, our our live streams are not our live streams at Jumpstart, but our live streams that we see on social media are very often all people talk about is what they think and feel, rather than expressing curiosity. And through that consumption mode, it's not unreasonable. We can't interact with people very often, or we're constrained on how we do that. So when someone gets on their Instagram and starts going off on something, they're talking about what they think and feel, and then we consume that. That's not a model for interpersonal friendships. That's not a model for give and take. I don't feel unbalanced when I go to someone's Instagram channel and listen to them go on a tirade about something. Um, but in my friendships, in my intimate relationships, uh, if that's the mode, I can absolutely feel uncomfortable with what seems like a sense of imbalance. Someone needs an audience. I guess I'm the audience, but I thought we were friends. So, how do I address this? Well, we're also not interested in describing our feelings and needs, in rendering a value statement or an appraisal about what the other person is doing. This is all you do, and it's really a pain in the ass, and no wonder you don't have any other friends, and blah blah blah. None of that is going to get you heard either. So avoiding appraisal, avoiding judgment, using I statements, as we say in active listening, and saying, look, I'd like to share a couple of things with you. I'm observing that in these interactions recently, uh, almost the entire time that we're together, we're focused on things that you're thinking and feeling. And uh, uh, when that goes on, I'm feeling a little dismissed and lost in this relationship that it seems kind of unidimensional, only one direction. I need to know that I'm important to you, just like you want to know that I'm important to you. I mean, I think I'm giving you that assurance because you are. I'd love to feel the same. Would you be willing to allow some space so that I can present what's important to me and what I might need from you? That way we can really get some meaning out of this relationship. So, um, I think the core items here are very consistent with what we talk about in our live streams altogether. There's a responsibility to speak what you think and feel. In the speaking of what you think and feel, you can do this in a non-judgmental way. The cost of not saying something is a much more long-suffering enterprise than the discomfort of confronting my own fear, leaning into discomfort, and saying what I have to say non-offensively. The more that we can be non-offensive in how we speak what we feel and what we think, the more that we make the world a better place. How? Because we're clearing out from us the angst that goes along with not saying something. Um, I have debates with people that are close to me about my directness in addressing these kinds of issues. Um, For people who don't do this, who are not direct and speak as non-offensively as possible, and they're more interested in controlling circumstances by not being upsetting, they can find directness almost offensive. I found that when I moved to a completely different state, coming from the New York metropolitan area where everybody's direct with one another, and coming into an environment where many, many people experience that directness as a form of dignity loss. And I'm not even rendering appraisals about people, but in my directness, they're feeling very offended. So I had to become quite adept and nuanced about saying everything that I need to say in as non-offensive a way as possible. And what's my criteria for non-offensive? That it's devoid, it doesn't have any kind of judgment, that it's devoid of any kind of value or appraisal suggestion. Rather, I'm talking about a dynamic, this thing. This is what I'm observing about this thing. This is what I think and feel. Would love to hear what you think about that as well. Now, if I'm feeling irritation with this other human being, I'm suspending that. I'm locking it up. If I'm feeling anger about this other human being, I'm not allowing that anger to shape what comes out of my mouth. I'm fundamentally committed to being as non-offensive as I can. Now, I don't do this perfectly, but it is a serious commitment of mine, and I try to live it every day. And it's a journey. It's an ongoing journey to address problems while they're small. What is it, the Tao Te Ching? Every problem that's great starts small. So when you begin to feel unbalanced in the relationship, start talking about the relationship with the other person. This is a practice that's lost. This is a lost art. The most functional relationships are the ones in which we talk about the relationship once in a while. When it comes to marital relations, it is a recommendation, a data-driven recommendation to talk about the relationship at least 90 minutes a week. What's going on in our marriage? What's going on in our friendship? What's going on in our intimate partnership? Let's talk about the relationship so that that's foundational. And then you're able to eliminate the proposition that the relationship is always placed on the chopping block if something is amiss. So I hope that you're willing to lean into the discomfort that comes along with saying what you feel and what you need, and to work on doing it as non-offensively as possible. I hope that you'll join us on Thursday. We're at 4 p.m. in the Jumpstart Mastery Network. We're going to be talking about another topic that's a little deeper in the weeds that serves our professionals. I hope you're enjoying these lives. I'm certainly enjoying them. I love the cool clip that comes on as I do them. And I wish you all well. Take good care.